What's up, y'all? Oh, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful,
What's up, everybody? It's Adam from 49ers Insiders.
and we hope everyone had a blessed week this week. I hope everyone had a safe and happy 4th of July. Um, you know, got to blow some stuff up with the boys, so had a few brewskis. Obviously, we all may have our opinions on the 4th, and I have mine, but with the boys. Sorry, I have mine, but we all can. Let's be happy that we live in a country that we can enjoy the freedoms we have. Plus, also, big shout out. I think it's so dope. Big shout out. I'm going to actually share it because the Niners put it out. But congratulations to the U.S. women's soccer team. We won the World Cup today. That's the USA. Hey, I would say, obviously this is not Niner ball, but I think it's pretty dope for us to win the World Cup. 4th of July weekend. That's pretty dope. And also, I love that player sipping the tea on the game-winning goal. Like, just sipping.
Are we sure that was sipping tea? The other conspiracy side out of me said it was almost like, who knows, maybe she smoked weed in the off season and just wanted to say, like, we're smoking the competition, we smoke y'all.
Hey,
I just know it's really tea.
I put two together. Obviously England tea sipping.
Did they beat England? Like that. In that game?
Yeah, it was against England. And also, when you add in the fact of close to the 4th of July, what was one of the big things that led to the Revolutionary War was the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah. 100%. I didn't know they did England in that game.
So it was England, and so we all know that England's our ally and everything like that. But I always kind of looked at America versus England as little brother versus big brother. You know what I'm saying? You may not also get along with your big brother. You may want to whoop his ass, but it's kind of like when it comes down to it, you're like, look, bro, that's my brother. I got his back. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I looked to my little brother, he's gay. So I call him a little queer bait or something like that, just because he's my little brother. I got to give him a hard time. But at the end of the day, if anybody else trips over that, the fact he's gay, oh, yeah, we got problems, bro, because that's still at the end of the day, that's still my family. I can make fun of him because I'm his big brother. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I look at the America-England type of thing. So we're all good. I love England. I want to actually go. I'm actually, I have English heritage. My family's from Cornwall, England. So, I would love to go see England. But I'm all for, I love T.O.'s antics. I remember being a kid, T.O. pulling out the Sharpie with the pom-poms, all that. I love all that celebration. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get into some Niner Ball. Adam went ahead and tweeted out a tweet yesterday, I believe, with Matt Breida over, I believe you said it was 153.
You stumble upon a little tweet and then, our brains work a little bit and the hamster wheel kind of goes. And it's like, I thought it was a reasonable question to ask in terms of Matt Breida had 153 carries last year. I put the over or under at 150. Part of me wanted to go a little lower, but I wanted to, we're big Matt Breida fans, we're Niner fans. So as we all know, and we kind of discussed on the show, me and TJ kind of privately talked about it before hopping on the show. Like the new part of us with adding Tevin Coleman and Jerick McKinnon coming back, that majority of the side out of us says, well, if he had a 153 last year, there's no way in hell is he going to get 150 this year. But like I brought up to TJ, I said, well, last year, if we had Tevin Coleman or Jerick McKinnon, maybe he allows that ankle to actually heal up, and thus he would have ended up getting more carries. Mm-hmm. So actually, 150 could perhaps be a reasonable number.
Yeah, no, I fully agree that, what brought that up is I love Matt Breida. Don't get it twisted. I love Matt Breida. Matter of fact, Matt Breida, isn't it kind of funny how, as we're looking back at just for a second at 2017, and, you look at Joe Williams, you look at Reuben Foster, we'll still put the jury out on Akilo. We'll still put out the jury on, Solomon Thomas. But, it's funny how Joe Williams or Matt Breida makes up for Joe Williams. Big, huge time. And I love the fact he's an undrafted running back. And you know what? Talking about motivation, we talked about this on the show last week. You could have all the look at Joe Williams. Joe Williams was probably more talented than Matt Breida, quote unquote talented. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't want it as bad as Matt Breida did. So why is Matt Breida still on the team and basically essentially took his job? Well, because Matt Breida wanted it more than Joe Williams did. Not knock on Joe Williams, love you, brother. But Matt Breida wanted it better. He wanted it more, and so motivation is a key factor. And carrying a chip on his shoulder for being undrafted and having met Matt Breida last year at training camp and getting him to sign a schedule for me and everything. He seems like that type of person that would carry a chip on his shoulder for being undrafted, and that's okay. That if that makes him ball out every Sunday, I'm all for it, brother.
I'm not sure if you knew this as well. I mean, sometimes we kind of forget about it. I kind of forgot about the fact he was adopted, so that's another huge
didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. On top of being undrafted, and when he was at Georgia Southern, I think they ended up switching offensive coordinators, so he had to go through some tweaks. So long story short, he's been through a lot of shit, and it finally kind of paid off for him. Then Kyle Shanahan was able to talk him into. I mean, imagine that scenario. They just took a running back in the 4th round, and then you know what I mean. They still obviously end up if that guy is supposed to be your new guy, because obviously at the time he was. So it's like, well, is this my actual best opportunity to possibly make the squad? And he took the chance, and hey, it all worked out. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. That's seriously, that's a blessing from God. Thank God for Matt Breida. And Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch apparently have great mouthpieces to be able to convince him to come into a scenario where the feature back was thought to be drafted. And we can see this now. Carlos Hyde was never Kyle Shanahan's long-term solution at running back.
No.
You love Carlos Hyde, was a great running back. Obviously,
I love him,
we should have. I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that we should have kept Frank, but I understand the scenario and how things worked out and everything. In hindsight, it's always 2020. But anyway, so I'm going to go slightly under just because I think that Matt Breida has proven that he has the talent. He led the NFL in rushing yards for a period of time. And I will give him credit that he clearly was able to never let that ankle fully heal.
Yeah.
Last year, it was pretty obvious that he never got that ankle healed. But I just don't think he can be.
He missed 2 games. Sorry to interrupt you there. He left 2. He missed 2 complete games, but I always have to bring it up. And I know sometimes people probably read the tweet like, "Gosh, enough already." I don't want people to forget that he legitimately left. I wish I can go back and literally double check and actually watch it, but I know if I had to put money on it, I feel like he at least left 4 games early, and part of me says maybe even 5. It's probably more closer to 4. I know 3 guaranteed, 100%.
Yeah. If I went back, I could probably think about the actual games he left, but that's fine. That's okay. Look, I don't think this is, I think what happens as Niner fans is we fall in love with players, which of course, we all do, but, we fall in love with Frank Gore and that's our expectation. Look, Frank Gore didn't take plays off, you had to hide Frank Gore's helmet from him. And you know what, if he could get away with it, he probably still would have played without his helmet. Honestly, I really think Frank Gore just would have ran in without his helmet.
Steve Young status?
Total Steve Young status. So, great point. So, not everybody's like that. I think the days of number 1 bell cow, are over, and that's fine. So, I'm going to say just off of that, I don't think he's that, 20 to 30 carry, game running back. And also the fact is that now this is, of course, with the asterisk. I will put this. This is with the asterisk of keeping, both Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman, and Jerick McKinnon. Keeping all 3, and then of course, Raheem Mostert or whatever happens on the back end. With that being the precedence that we just go ahead and keep all what you do believe is that we're going to keep all 4 running backs. I believe just because there'll be more talent there, more running backs, keeping them fresher. Yeah. I think that we have to look into this as not week by week, but we have to look into as an overall season. And so if giving Matt Breida 5 to 10 less carries a game means he's fresher in January, dare I say the first Sunday in February, dare I say that? Ooh. If that means we get a fresh Matt Breida, I'm all for it. If it means he gets, 100 carries over the course that he's not, he's going to get more than 100 carries. Yeah. But if he gets 100 carries over the course of the season, but that means he's fresh in January when we really need him, because what do they say? To win in December and win the playoffs, you got to pack your D and you got to pack your running game. It's the age-old saying in football. You got better pack your D and you better pack your running game. So I'm okay with that.
It's a good point. I mean, kind of like basketball too. Another good point of it is like every single time a runner is in, he literally has like 105% juice. Every single time he's actually carrying the rock. So I mean, it's not even about. I mean, like I said, great point. Like as far as having health, like hopefully going for let's just say for the playoffs. I'm sorry, not for the playoff stretch. For the season. Shoot, what the hell am I talking about over here? I'm just pretty much saying like you want them to be available possibly to make a playoff push. That's the word I was looking for, to make a playoff push. So, the last 4 games of the season. But like I said, another obviously smart thing to do would be, in my opinion, just to make sure that they have full energy literally on every single carry, because why not you go ahead and utilize them all when you have them? So that's, I know obviously Matt Breida was tied for second NFL with 5.3 yards per carry. So the man just simply, I call him a Pac-Man cheetah, because the way he ends up gobbling up the yards every single time he gets going. But, like I hate to bring this factor too. I mean, you never know. Possibly Jerick McKinnon can get injured again. Maybe Coleman gets some type of little injury where he ends up missing a couple games. Once again, At the end of the day, they are running backs. It might get banged up. So, at the end of the day, I think 150 carries from Matt Breida, is it possible? For sure. If you put a gun in my head and say you have to absolutely bet on this, I will not. I will go ahead and admit that, which goes to transition to one of the, today where we're going to be talking about some positioning battles and stuff like that. And I want to hear your take about Tevin Coleman versus Matt Breida.
Yeah, just real quick.
Get the majority of the touches.
Yeah, just so real quick, I went ahead and pulled up the schedule. And just to kind of wrap up on the last little thing, all our games in December, December 1st at Baltimore, December 8th at New Orleans, at home against the Falcons, the Yams at home, and then going up to Seattle. So I would see a cold game in December in Baltimore. Yeah, probably. So bring your running game. New Orleans, what's the best way to keep a high potent offense off the field? Run the football. The Falcons at home, December 15th, probably raining in the Bay Area. The back-to-back home games, raining cold in the Bay Area in December. And then, December 29th in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, we're talking about a city that literally rains 350 days a year, so it's probably going to be raining. So, bringing our D and our run game is going to be crucial. So, Tevin Coleman versus Matt Breida. I mean, I think that I'll put it to you this way. I don't think Tevin Coleman signed here. I think it's of course they'll say, competition and the best man will win. And that's okay. Could Matt Breida breed out Tevin Coleman? Could Jerick McKinnon beat him all out? Yeah, that's possible. But on paper, I think that this is what I would hope that Kyle Shanahan, Lynch and Hand would go in and they know who they would assume would be the starters. Tevin Coleman is an assumed starter. I wouldn't think he would sign here to take backseat to anybody. Now they probably told him, "Hey, we're going to try to rotate and keep you fresh and all that." But I think he's our starter. Now, if Matt Breida balls out and Tevin Coleman doesn't, or let's say Tevin Coleman, knock on wood, tweaks an ankle or something like that, or maybe he's somehow not ready or freshest for week 1, or maybe they decide to keep Jet out another couple weeks to let him heal up, or something like that happens.
Right.
Yeah. I think that it's more of a battle between not to I'll let you rebuttal and everything, but I think to me personally it'd be more of a battle between Jerick McKinnon and Matt Breida on who's gonna be the first to spill Tevin Coleman, in my opinion. But could Matt Breida beat out Tevin Coleman? Yeah. Could I see them even playing different roles? Sure. I mean, Matt Breida has improved in his pass catching.
Yes.
Apparently my boy Jason says it doesn't rain that much in Seattle. Okay. I've always heard that it was a really rainy city, so I've never been.
I thought it was a joke. You said 350. I mean,
well,
obviously,
that's not, no,
here.
I've always
It's
heard that
literally
it's
rain
crazy
every
raining in
day here.
Seattle. But I'm sorry. The only time I will go up to Seattle is to go up to the clink and take a piss outside of it. So I'm spoiled. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from the place that has me and Adam and I should say, are both from California. We're from the spoiled with the world's greatest weather. Oh, by the way, before we get any deeper in the shows, our thoughts and prayers are with everybody who are affected with the earthquakes. I'm very glad to see that you're okay, Adam, that it didn't affect you.
Yeah, I'm in San Diego. I mean, I know they felt it a lot more, obviously, closer to like Barstow and all the way to Vegas or whatnot. Yeah. They're closer essentially to the San Andreas fault. But yeah, some people were sketched out. Like I said, I heard when you were in the nearby area, you were in a super tall hotel. Like a couple NBA players actually tweeted about it. They're like, yeah, it's one of the scariest moments because some people had obviously never experienced
an earthquake. Yeah.
So they're like, oh yeah, like they kind of felt, little slip and slide action. And witnessing that right in front of you, I'm sure that's scary. But at the same time, it's like I was telling you off there, I said, thank God, everybody, it's not the big one because
the big one.
That's literally what I was thinking to myself. I was literally, as I was laying down watching the Dodgers game, I thought to myself, like, am I going to have to literally grab my dog right now? Is this possibly the one?
Yeah,
I always hope for the best. I'm always prepared for the worst too.
Like, yeah, of course.
This could be it.
Yeah, and so look, it's something that we have to deal with in California. Obviously, we don't deal with it as, maybe the Southeast. Like we know super duper moderator Kim lives in Orlando. They're dealing with, I have an uncle that lives in Orlando. They're dealing with hurricanes all the time. And I know back east, they deal with a lot in the Midwest. My mom was from the Midwest. So, blizzards and all that. So we don't get the type of, but the scariest thing about an earthquake is for those who haven't experienced it, I was a baby for the 89 one. So I think it's actually even worse because you're a baby. So you have no idea what's going on. But the worst thing about an earthquake is literally there's nothing you can do. Like a fire, you can put out a fire. So there's literally the ground is shaking. There is nothing you could do. You are at the mercy of God, essentially. And so there's literally nothing you can do but try to get to the safest possible place you can and write it out. So for all our fans and fellow faithful, okay. So Jason said, to be fair to us, he thought the same thing about Seattle until he moved there. So apparently,
how many years do they actually get now? Now I'm curious. Like half the year, 180 plus days?
Yeah. Jason, why don't you go ahead and put in the comments, brother? How often does it really, on average, rain in Seattle? I'm curious about that myself because I remember back in the day that Niner game where they almost had to cancel it because of how much it had rained and everything like that up in Seattle. I believe Mike Nolan was our coach. I want to say it was when Mike Nolan was our coach. It was like a Thursday night or a Monday night or something. But anyway, I just wanted to, before we forgot, I didn't want anybody to think we didn't, we weren't worried or anything. I actually had to text Adam, off air and be like, hey, bro, at the end of the day, yeah, you're my co-host and everything, but you're my boy, bro. I had to make sure you were good. I saw that you were tweeting out and everything like that. So obviously you were okay, but I'd be like, hey, bro, the fam good, everything cool, bro. Yeah. I would assume that, if you heard something happen in the Bay Area, you would do the same thing to me. So our thoughts and prayers are with everybody out there. If I can help anybody do anything, if there's any type of fundraiser set up or I know a couple chapter presidents down in SoCal. If y'all are doing anything, the Empire's doing anything, please let me know any way that Adam and I can help. It's nothing to send out a retweet. It's nothing to share out a comment. It's nothing to say something on the show. So please let us know by any means that we can help. But yeah, anyway, so back to the show. Go ahead, Matt Coleman versus.
Yeah, I mean, another interesting factor, like I said, I'm always thinking about different stuff. I'm always thinking down the line and everything like that. The crazy part is essentially nobody's really a guarantee to also come back and running back for next year. I know that might sound crazy to say, but as we all know, Jerick McKinnon is at the point right now where you can go ahead and cut him, and obviously save a lot in years going forward. I believe next year, if you cut him with a post-June 1st designation, pretty much at any time, it would be pretty much stupid to do it this year because you'll eat up too much dead money this year. But next year and going forward, it would only be a $2 million cap hit, I believe, for the next 2 years because it was a 4-year deal total, right? I don't think this was a 5-year deal.
Yeah, it was 4 year.
It was a 4 year, right?
Yeah.
So pretty much the next 2 years, you can save a combination of literally like $14-15 million. But this year, pretty much he has so much guaranteed still on the line where like it'd be stupid to cut him because you're pretty much not saving anything. So why the hell not hold on to him? But Tevin Coleman signed a 2-year, $10 million deal. If I'm not mistaken, he has literally less than like $1 million in guaranteed money after this year, maybe even possibly zero. I can't exactly remember on top of my head, but still like less than 0 to possibly 1 million. Like that's not a guarantee to be here. Raheem Mostert, I'm pretty sure his guaranteed money next year is probably $1 million or less too. And then Matt Breida is a restricted free agent. And I brought up this point too. The reason why I'm bringing all this up as well is, well, if they're possibly have contract implications on the line next season, like, you know, they're gonna want to get fed. Once again, Tevin Coleman. Why would Tevin Coleman sign the type of contract that he did if he's probably not going to even possibly be able to earn that $5 million next season?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he's going to obviously want to get an X amount of carries. I'm pretty sure Kyle Shanahan, obviously he can't promise, hey, no matter what happens, 170 touches in a year. But I'm just still saying, like, essentially, like they're like money's riding on the line for their future. So about the sub about Matt Breida, you can't probably put a second round tender on him because if you're a team thirsty for a running back next season, let's just say Matt Breida finishes in the top 10 of yards per carry average. And you're drafting late. Let's just say you're drafting late because obviously that makes a difference as well. Would you not possibly take a gamble and actually cough up a second round pick for somebody like Matt Breida if he has another great season?
Yeah, if you're looking at a late second, early third, where it's almost like a third rounder. Yeah, a top 10. If I'm a running back thirsty team,
let's say you either go to the championship game or you finish in the Super Bowl, so you're literally picking 60 to 64.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So if I'm a team,
put a first round tender on him is the reason why I was bringing that up. And the first round tender is like a $4 or $5 million cap hit, if I'm not mistaken, on top of my head.
So exactly, and as you were speaking. Okay, so Jason says it's no different than any other place. It just is cloudy a lot, and so your average West Coast region.
Not even a quarter of the year.
Yeah. Apparently, it's super overrated for how much it really rains. So a little shocking.
It could be a case of I live there now, so I can't really talk too bad on it. I'm gonna under exaggerate a little bit. That's all that matters.
Yeah, of course. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I want to see.
People are totally cool with it. I'm not even happy after like 2 hours.
Look, I would love nothing more. And you know what? We might actually go ahead and do this because you never know what the future holds. Sometimes, look, if you would have told me 2 years ago that I would have accomplished and done some of the things that I've done with Niner Faithful Radio, I would have told you you're smoking rocks. So I believe anything's possible. So, hey, you know what? Maybe a little motivation, maybe hey, we win this game, we're in the playoffs. I might make a trip down to Seattle. You know what I'm saying? And
I think every 49er fan should go over there and actually witness and get a feel of, what the whole, hype is all about over there. And I believe that. How hyped are things over there now with things being a little different, personnel trading, kind of like what the 49ers went through, but we took it a lot worse, obviously. They've been competing, and shout out to Pete Carroll. Give respect when it's due. Took them to the playoffs last season, and, everybody at one point thought they were possibly going to be picking like the top 5 to top 10.
Oh, I thought they were done last year. Yeah, I was writing them off.
They were like the Undertaker, dude. Like, thought you're like, finally, we can kind of celebrate them not obviously being good either.
Exactly.
And then, our season went complete down the gutters. But hey, Nick Bosa, what up, baby?
Hey, that's why we played it. Hey, exactly. Look, in 10 years, when we're celebrating 3 championships and all that, and we're having a ceremony putting Nick Bosa in the Niner Hall of Fame, and all that, we're not going to give a damn that we went 4-12 in 2018. Trust me, we don't give whatever we went in 2007. Probably 5-11. We don't give a damn because it got us Patrick Willis and Joe Staley. So anyway,
He's could have been a lot
literally,
different. He could have trade up for Deebo Samuel and stuff like that. You just never know.
Literally, we're paying dividends this very day in 2019 for being 5-11 in 2007 or whatever we were. Literally, 12 years later, and we're still paying dividends for that. So, God bless America. Anyway.
Next subject, while we're on it, Deebo Samuel, Marquise Goodwin for the other position battle.
See, I think Deebo versus Marquise.
Do you think? Let me stop you right there. Do you think that hip injury possibly hindered his opportunity to maybe actually be one of the two starting wide receivers in our base offense?
I think
to what degree? Nothing massive, but still enough to maybe play a little of a factor. My two cents on the subject, and I talked about it yesterday. And sorry, you can go right after. I said once again, like it's not a guarantee for a rookie just to come in and take essentially one does not come in and take Marquise Goodwin's job, in my opinion. I understand what Shanahan said in the past. He didn't envision using essentially Goodwin as pretty much a starting wide receiver. Kind of bullshit. I mean, the X. I mean, he was signed to be the X while Pierre Garçon was the Z. Essentially, X is on the left hand side. Pretty much takes the top off kind of guy. Bullshit, whatever. But as we saw his opportunity late in 2017, I mean, the guy's capable starting one or two wide receivers. So part of me says Deebo Samuel is going to handle. Pretty much, he's not, in my opinion, he won't start week 1, but I think he'll start building a lot of momentum. And still, like I said, just because you're not starting, I'm not saying he's not going to be able to. He could still easily, obviously, even if he's not starting week 1, he can still end up getting more targets than Marquise Goodwin. Obviously, because we're going to be still running 3 wide receiver sets and all that. So I think you look for Deebo Samuel to not start week 1. Does it really matter? Probably not. But then as the time goes by and the weeks go by, I can see him just becoming a full-time starter. And I think further is what I'm getting at.
I think that they will hold on, I had to take I don't know why my video just went down. My bad. Okay.
I hear your voice.
So that's all that matters. Apologize about that. I got a phone call. Maybe that threw it off or something. I apologize. So we're just kind of get the podcast vibe going right now. But so the point is that I mean I don't think so either. I don't think they're going to hand any jobs this year.
Right.
I think that
you want guys.
Of course, that's what you want.
Earning every single damn target, every single rep.
Every rep on the field will be earned because there's somebody there to take your job. Because I was going to bring this up when we were talking about.
You want to fresh your body in. You might want to fresh your body in.
And when you brought up, the contract and the tender for Matt, if you notice, none of these contracts have the layover of going past the 2021 season.
Of the running backs?
Of just in general. So that's one thing that I think they're purposely setting it up for, that if, things don't go the way they want, they're going to make a clean sweep. And I think that's been
the reason I brought up Matt Breida. Sorry to cut you off there. The reason I brought up Breida's tenders is a second round tender and somebody can, and obviously he can end up getting plucked. Like I said, especially if you're picking maybe between 60 to 64. Once again, imagine Matt Breida, Patriots. You'd be like, oh, that sounds pretty damn good, right? Like you'd probably get some good production out of him and whatever. I'm just saying how usually people kind of think about that. You plug somebody on the Patriots and they're automatically going to do better. I think he would be a great fit over there. That's just my own personal opinion. But the reason why I brought that up is, do the 49ers say, you know what, we'll just take a second round tender. We won't have to pay Breida. Let's just move on. We can use that elsewhere. Because I do not see the 49ers putting a first-round tender on him for almost a $4 to $5 million cap hit. I could easily be wrong. Maybe they will go ahead and do that. And let's just see where this year goes. But knowing Parag Mareth and all that kind of stuff, don't be surprised. Once again, depending on how this year goes, maybe we go ahead and extend him. Because I think he's actually eligible. I think he actually might be eligible for an extension at any time going forward. I could be wrong right there. I'd have to kind of think a little more right now. My mind is also on the show too, but I think maybe throughout the season he could be eligible, and I think that would be the time to all right, what is the long-term plan for Matt Breida? And maybe the 49ers still don't even know that damn answer yet. But I think the money implications and the tenders and all that, I think you possibly have a very hard decision coming in along next year.
Yeah, and I think what it is they want to let it play out.
Probably so.
They want to play it out, and they want to say, okay, we got 4 running backs. Let's let it play out throughout the year. And
Shanahan's don't normally pay their running backs. Is there another reason why I bring that up?
Yeah. They we all know what happened with Terrell Davis.
I mean, look at Jeff Wilson once again. Exactly. Whatever. He coughed it up a couple times. Let's not act like we had damn playoff implications, and let's not act like people can't improve. It's the same shit with Matt Breida. Like, oh yeah, he has his drops his rookie season. And all of a sudden, some people pegged his ass like last year that he would be like, he'll never be a good pass catching running back. And obviously, he proved everybody wrong there. So let's not act like Jeff Wilson is a career freaking, fumbleitis type of running back. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't see him making it. We've talked about that before.
Yeah. I don't think Jeff Wilson
for a different day. Back to wide receivers, though.
Yeah. So I think he'll be a Dante Pettis. And when you see that Dante Pettis, the longer, because we all hear that rookie receivers take a while to develop and all that, and because you're going against grown men, that are allowed to manhandle you at the line of scrimmage, Now, right. I think Deebo Samuel is more physically built than Dante Pettis was coming in, because I remember. Yeah, because the first thing I remember seeing Dante Pettis at the State of the Franchise last season is I remember saying, how is he going to get off the line of scrimmage? That was just when I saw him, that was my first thing, is he's going to get manhandled at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he knows how to use his hands very well, and obviously, once again, the way he sets up defenders with a shake and bake. I knew he has good natural strength. We saw him stiff arm the living crud out of that Seahawks DB. I can't think of his name on top of my head. I don't even want to guess.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Trey Flowers. I think it was a different guy. Anyways, that shows you his strength right there. But very good point as far as Deebo is a little thicker, whatnot. He'll be able to be a better day one run blocker, obviously compared to Pettis was last season. Exactly. But I still don't think at the end of the day, like, hey, when we come out in 21 pro against the Buccaneers, I don't think he's going to be one of the 2 wide receivers. And once again, that really doesn't even matter.
It doesn't, because he's going to play that game.
It might be better for him. Maybe he'll go more under the radar once we're in 3 wide receiver sets a little bit. I have no clue exactly, but I will go ahead and tell you this. What screwed things up last season? I mean, you remember Marquise Goodwin gets freaking cheap shotted by a guy sticking his damn leg out and ends up getting that quad injury. And
that's sent him back for the year.
I mean, that just kind of screwed up like the flow of the offense. So like to start the year, and people obviously, well, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't look that great. Well, he also obviously, Goodwin was a big part of that. Was his ability to obviously to take the top off, and we played obviously the Vikings a very great defense. We had injuries on the offensive line, and actually that'll probably give us that right opportunity right there to bring it up. You remember last season, the week 1 opener against the Vikings? Mike Person gets hurt, Richburg gets hurt, freaking McGlinchey had a slide over at guard, Williams getting trashed at tackle. I mean, it was literally like a freaking. It was a shit show, essentially.
Like
people don't bring that up when they bring and that shit irritates me to cherry pick it so bad. A couple overthrows. Oh my god,
look at the play.
Dude, shut up! Like sometimes people will miss a throw. We never seen Brett Favre, Steve Young, and come on.
So we of course at Niner Faithful Radio, I like to bring it back into Niner history. So this is a little factor for those people who want to get on Jimmy Garoppolo, because I'm a little bit sensitive about Jimmy G. Cool, because Jimmy G. Cool is the truth, and I really do believe that he will take us to the promised land.
I just think our work shall be solid. The end. I'm not freaking
the catch should have never happened. And the catch should have never happened because Joe Montana missed the wide open Freddie Solomon the play before and overthrew him by 10 yards. So we all know Joe's the GOAT. So that put it there. Okay. The man who literally made the next play was the catch, changed the course of franchise history. That play shouldn't even happen. Let's actually break it down to the 89 Super Bowl. The John Kaler catch shouldn't have happened, because if that Cincinnati defensive back doesn't drop an interception that Joe threw right to him, game over.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put it. So yeah, that goes to bed. All I have to tell people is Look at his first touchdown as a Niner against the Seahawks to Lewis Murphy. Okay. And look at the touchdown pass to Dante Pettis. The Dante Pettis is his first touchdown of the NFL. And look how Jimmy G. Cool is being harassed. He basically pulled a lightweight Steve Young, the run against the Vikings.
Pull up the damn Titans and Jaguars film too, and
okay.
Golly, so, I hate to, but people, you know what, and I understand, and I don't still like, if one thing people know about me, I'll like your tweet, no matter if it's positive or negative, or there's a lot of people, and I understand. In my opinion, I hate the guilty till proven innocent approach and mindset that some people have sometimes, and that's what some people have. I'm not going to put any name out there. I don't even know what the hell their damn actual what's it called, their actual name is on Twitter, whatever. But like they pretty much want to see Jimmy balling until then they don't want to hear shit or see shit, like anything positive. Like to them, it's like he has to kind of prove it to me. I mean, like I said, I think it's kind of sucky that they're taking like they're pretty much they're like really not that confident inside of him. I think part of that is because they have an affection for Nick Mullins too, who came in last season, did a great job with not that much around him. Obviously,
maybe we all got burned by Cap. Remember kind of how Cap was supposed to take over the NFL?
Maybe that's part of it too. Maybe they had all this great hype and expectations, and it kind of, once again, though, I just gave you some facts of why it's good the first 3 games of the season. Let's not forget about the Vikings game was on the road. That stadium was loud as shit. They were coming off of like an NFC championship game.
They were expected to be a Super Bowl team.
Right. And that's why they gave up freaking Kirk Cousins a 3-year fully guaranteed contract. I think $90 million.
Yeah, because Kirk Cousins was basically brought in to be we think you're the missing piece that will take us to will win us the championship.
And then going on the road, obviously the freaking Arrowhead and one of the damn top loudest stadiums. And I'm not gonna lie, I underestimated Patrick Mahomes being good so early, but hey, that shit goes hand in hand. Shout out to Andy Reid, who put him in a great position to freaking win the damn MVP last season. But let's go ahead and transition to the next position battle, if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah.
Mike Person versus Josh Garnett. What do we think? And I don't know if you want to throw 2 cents about what is the percentage you think of that Nick Mullins possibly has a chance to start.
0. Nick Mullins is not going to be our starting quarterback.
I mean, I'll tell you what, Jimmy has to look like complete garbage and preseason.
Yeah. I'll put it to you this way: if Jimmy Garoppolo comes out of training camp as not our starting quarterback, it's going to rock the core of the NBA. Yeah.
You know what I noticed yesterday? I didn't thoroughly analyze because I really didn't care. We just want to see him back healthy. But he tore his left knee, which is very good news. And if I'm not mistaken, his right knee is the one he plants with on the spinal stop and on a spinal step on his drop back. Yeah. So that's kind of low key huge in my opinion.
Yeah, I know.
That's why he probably tore his ACL, because his left knee wasn't as strong.
Yeah, no. That's that was, I remember specifically that being brought up in an article that it wasn't his.
Okay, sweet.
He planned it, so it's not. So yeah, Jimmy B. Cool will be fine.
All right, next one.
Josh Garnett, Mike Person. This is
what percentage would you give Josh Garnett the possibility of actually beating out Mike Person?
I'll say
over under 45%, 40%.
Over 40.
Over 40.
I'll say over 40. 50? Because honestly, do you want to know what I think? Now, this will mess with Gel. So it's a delicate balance, because the fact that bringing back all 5 starting up offensive linemen from last year, I think is a huge. But what makes our offensive line the best possible offensive line is Mike Person being a backup, being able to play guard and center, and probably in a pinch, some tackle. Like, would that be ideal?
He does have tackle ability. Remember, he was drafted as a tackle.
Yeah. So ideally, would that be, no, but, we all see last year, Vikings game. Ideally, situations don't happen all the time. This is professional football. Shit happens. So ideally, probably having Joshua Garnett win the job, not be handed or playing the best and being clearly the best, guard, I think makes the offensive line better, because having Mike Person come off the bench, who started, games for us last year, I don't think is a bad thing. there's got to be something in Joshua Garnett. I don't think that Kyle Shanahan, who came here and showed no bars back about getting any, they literally told Navarro Bowman, all right, you're cut. Like literally, Navarro Bowman. Like they had no problem cutting Navarro Bowman.
Oh, well,
so,
I mean, we know about the possibility that
really, and
it wasn't like, hey, at a blue field.
But the fact is, the fact is that they made the decision. You know what I'm saying? And they were very cut and dry. Look, they re-signed Jeremy Curley, ended up cutting him. I mean, Daniel Kilgore. We have a whole saying, don't get Daniel Kilgore, or he'll be Daniel Kilgore or whatever. So
you're looking at you.
The fact that they've kept Joshua Garnett makes you think that they see something in him.
Hey, don't forget about that power of that contract season, baby.
Don't forget the power of that contract season.
Here's another thing, too. Once again, I've been on record as saying I think Mike Person was better with his assignments a little better. As we all saw in the beginning of the season last year, anyways, it didn't even matter. There was plenty of blown assignments on the offensive line, which I think led to Jimmy being a little indecisive at times. Once again, not having his main security blanket, Marquise Goodwin. Trent Taylor wasn't the same Trent Taylor that he finished with in 2017.
Go back to 2017. What was Jimmy G cool? Trent Taylor, Marquise Goodwin. Those were his main targets.
Nice sprinkle of Breida, George Kittle,
and sprinkle some other, but it was always
little KB sprinkles.
And so,
Vikings defense was nasty, dude. And then they had a great – and Evershed Griffin was obviously in the opener before he had some type of mental issue, took some games off. But him and Daniel Hunter, they were arguably week one last year, looked at as one of the easily top 10 pass rushing duo in the NFL. And then on the inside, I mean, I think they actually had – what's it called? They signed Sheldon Richardson on the inside last season. So he was one of the better defensive tackles. And I forget who the number 2 defensive tackle was. Point being – they had a great defense, straight up. And, that played a factor into things. But I will say that Josh Garnett is stronger. But like I said, I think they trusted Mike Person more with his assignments and all that. And that's a big reason to maybe keep him as a starter. Once again, people have said before the outside zone scheme can take possibly 2 to 3 years for everybody to kind of click in on all cylinders. So part of us says, hey, why not just let it ride again? And once again, Mike Person can easily be the starter to keep the continuity and the gelling. I expect the big year 2 leap from Mike McGlinchey. I keep telling everybody I think he'll possibly be a Pro Bowl candidate. Weston Richburg, as we all know, played hurt, but he did get the experience, had 2 off-season surgeries. I expect him to take a nice year 2 leap. If you pull up some film on him, you can see the way he moves, and he has some nastiness to him. I think he'll be just fine a year 2. It's just, a combination of things. Like I said, a little lack of experience in the scheme, playing some good teams, and obviously dealing with some injuries and stuff like that. But I still think Josh Garnett maybe puts it all together. It's his 3rd year going into the scheme like a lot of other people, and we'll see how it goes.
So gun to your head, you're saying Joshua Garnett?
Gun in my head, I'm going Mike Person still. But I'm still riding with Josh Garnett saying he has a chance.
You know what? Gun to my head. You know what? Just for the sake of you know what? Let's do this. Just for the sake of having some fun and whatever like that, we'll put a beer at Levi's on it. You ever come out of? I'll say Joshua Garnett does it. I'll say Joshua Garnett, and loser buys a beer at Levi's whenever you come out to a game.
All right, sounds so. You're taking Josh Garnett just for fun?
Yeah, just for fun. Okay, let's do it.
I like it.
Honestly, I do think that makes our offensive line the best. I love Mike Person. He was amazing last year. I love him. If Joshua Garnett goes down, which let's put it is a possibility, he's done it throughout his career. If Joshua Garnett goes down, I have no problem Mike Person sliding in and being our starter.
Hey, awesome. You remember what happened last year? Dude, imagine if the tables were actually turned. Imagine somehow Mike Person gets some type of little injury. I don't want to put any shit out there and give anybody any bad juju. But imagine he gets a little injury, and that allows for Josh Garnett to sneak his way in the way Mike Person sneaked his way in.
Who knows?
Hey, that's how life goes sometimes, dude. And that's the fun part about it. You know what I mean? People, you know what I mean? Like Adrian Colbert, I think that's going to happen to him this year.
Yeah. So
I don't even want to we'll bring that up in a second as far as the free safety position goes. But I'm just saying that, like, sometimes it takes an injury, and that gives you an opportunity that you get injured, and maybe eventually somebody else gets injured, that gives you an opportunity again.
We don't have to go that far back. How did Colin Kaepernick get his start?
Shit, I was at that game. I will bring that up. Alex Smith.
Yeah.
And the
Alex
crazy
Smith got hurt.
he still goes and throws a touchdown, and then next thing you know, he's like, oh, he's out. Yep, he's out the rest of the game. And my brother, I remember at the time, who's a Rams fan, ironically, I know it's a different story. I got two older brothers. The middle one's a Rams fan. The oldest one's a 49ers fan. Anyways, I went with the Rams fan. And he was actually disappointed that Alex Smith got hurt because he thought actually at the time that Colin Kaepernick was going to give us a better chance to win. Shit, he was actually pretty damn right.
Yeah, he was. Well, also to give him credit, he had watched how many years of Alex Smith had people watched at that point in time. And,
yeah, like I'm not scared of this guy.
Yeah. So, but exactly throughout NFL history, we could probably go through so many scenarios in Niner history where an injury, and next thing you know, matter of fact, that's how I forget the dude whose job he took, but that's how Cal Ripken Jr. got his start. Somebody got hurt. Cal Ripken Jr. got his opportunity. He never literally missed a game the rest of his career. Literally, he never missed another. Cal Ripken was literally the starting shortstop for the Orioles from that game, literally into the end of his career. He never missed another game. So,
you want to go switch over to defense, or you want to?
Yeah. So let's go.
A lot about the number 2 tight end job, Levine Toilolo versus Caden Smith. And do you think we're going to go with 3 tight ends? I know we kind of briefly discussed it before. What is your kind of take?
I think we're going to do the. I think we're going to keep 2, because I love to keep 3 tight ends. We love select time, all that and everything like that. But if we're going to keep 4 running backs, possibly 7 receivers.
I want to bring this up in. Maybe we do go with 2 tight ends, because another thing I've thought about too is with Garrett Selleck, it was almost like a plan. Like, why did he have surgery so late on his back? Maybe it was a tactical move of it's maybe not as serious as big. There's different degrees, obviously, of back surgeries. But maybe they did it purposely of like, hey, this allows us to go with 2. Obviously, as we all know, Juice maybe can slide in there, but at least we'll get Selleck back at mid-season. We'll see how things stand then.
Yeah, hey, look, we have to be prepared that people are going to get hurt. We can't pretend.
Nobody wants to think about it now, right?
Now we're not going to put the bad juju out there, but I think we know the untouchables that we can't afford to lose. At least we all know those, so we're not going to put that out in the universe. But
nope.
But we're going to get hurt, and so having Selleck time. Come back at the end of let's say week 6, week 7, just to throw that out there.
Yeah, I think he's. Yeah,
I think that's
eligible to come back, or the window opens up, or
I think it's week 8
or something like that.
And then you have to have 2 weeks of practice. I forget all the technicalities.
You have a 3-week window to activate them from the injury, or like a streak you just pretty much saw last year that they kept them on the IR the whole year.
Yeah.
But I think that allows you to maybe to kind of actually still go with 2 tight ends, actually, because then that if you need them, he can come back at any point. And, maybe there's a little wink deal. Like, hey, you're not going to make the roster, but we're essentially still going to, you're going to be on standby. Maybe there's a little wink handshake where they give him, an X amount of money if he does end up being cut for, for pretty much being on call. Shit, I don't know. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's some closed doors discussions going on.
All right. All right, defense.
Sorry, go ahead. Also, I think they want to respect him because of what he did, for the franchise, and he's the second longest tenure Niner.
Hey, he also looked really good with Jimmy Garoppolo too. But once again, who the hell did not look good
with Jimmy Garoppolo? So I think Caden Smith. We're gonna go Kittle Gordon and Caden Smith.
Caden Smith is like a young Selleck, but obviously a better route runner and obviously better. I don't know. I was going to say better leaping ability. On tape, you can kind of see it, but I don't know. Actually, Garrett Selleck's freaking vertical leap coming out.
Yeah, I don't either.
Michigan State, he's where he was from. But point is, he's kind of like a young, just more steroid out Garrett Selleck per se.
Yeah. And when you listen,
you got to block it in order to be a tight end at Stanford. So you have that coming too.
Let's not pretend that when you listen to the post-draft press conference, you hear John Lynch say, hey, for some reason I watch a lot of Stanford football, kind of joking. It's obvious because he went to Stanford. Yeah. And so he said, Caden Smith, he just happened to he just happened to notice that, every time Stanford needed to play, it was him that was coming through. He might only have one catch during the game, but it was the game-winning touchdown. And what are those type of players? And so, I think you never know what conversations are held behind closed doors.
Right.
I've never heard that any rumblings that the Niners aren't a class organization and won't let Selleck know. Because, this is something he's lived in the Bay Area since 2012. So this is something you can't just cut a play. Like, I think that's what people don't understand is, when you cut a player, it's not just, he's cut, whatever. No, you got kids in school, you got a house that you now got to sell, and how's the market? There's a lot that goes into, especially when you're a long tenured player of the team.
Right. And that's why I think the injured reserve special would be perfect, actually.
I do too.
Scenario where you don't have to cut him. And to be honest, hey, let's just say we don't need him around midseason. We're pretty much like, hey, go ahead and take the rest of the year off. Essentially, he's going to get his money still. I don't know if obviously it would be as much. I don't think it is as much as you were actually playing on a week-to-week basis. Because obviously there's active game day. I think a little extra bonuses if I'm not mistaken. But the point is, he would still get money as pretty much being on call, and then he won't actually be cut that way. He'll just finish the year on injury reserve, and it's all Gucci.
Bada boom.
Maybe all Gucci, partial Gucci.
Partially. Akilo, Jason Verrett.
That's the biggest one. And I put the little Jason Verrett video. There was a follow-up one. The one I posted, shout out to OSF 49ers, I believe is the hashtag or his the username, the handle. There you go. Why do I keep forgetting the word? Our SF 49ers does a great job, by the way. That one.
Shout out to him.
There was a one Barrett put out the day before July 3rd, but I actually liked the older one better. I thought he actually looked a little better. There was no helmet or anything. The other one did have a helmet, but like I said, so that was from June 24th, and I thought he's moving pretty well. And that's the $1 million question. I brought this up as well, that Richard Sherman ended up tearing his Achilles. I think it was week 10. It was pretty much so Barrett tore his Achilles in training camp. And then pretty much, let's just act like the Richard Sherman and Barrett tore their Achilles during the same season. Let's just say it was during the same season.
Yeah.
Sherman's was 3.5 months after into the regular season. And guess what? How many months are there in a regular games in a regular season of the NFL?
4.
4 months. So that's essentially the point of why I'm bringing that up is that's 14 weeks. That's almost a full NFL season of more time. Because as we all know, Richard Sherman got better with time went on. So I think that's huge for Jason Barrett, because I think he'll be, as we can see, he'll be a lot more ready. And I don't know if he'll have any restrictions. Remember, Richard Sherman had restrictions throughout the whole offseason, and then he had a quote-unquote a load management during training camp. And another thing to bring up, whenever you're taller, so Richard Sherman's 6'3", that Achilles – I hope it doesn't sound like I'm talking too much out of my ass, but when you're shorter, everything is more compacted, tendons and everything like that. So the Achilles injury is not as serious for somebody like Jason Verrett, in my opinion, because of, like I said, I think Sherman's was a little more vulnerable. And let's not forget, he also had a cleanup surgery on his opposite Achilles. Long story short, what I'm trying to say is I think Jason Verrett is going to bring it. I think he's actually going to be healthy. Now, pray to God it ends up being for the whole season. No guarantee on that because he hasn't done it in a long time, but I think he actually does end up being the week 1 starter.
Yeah.
At quarterback come week 1.
I'll say if they don't do my best 11 scenario, which is you move him to slot.
And that's what I was going to drift the conversation to next. Go ahead, though.
Yeah. If you don't do what we both essentially think would make the secondary better, which is you move Verrett to slot and Kilo and Sherman are your outside corners, since we're going to play nickel 70% of the game anyway. So essentially, he would be a starting corner. I think that makes our secondary the best. Love you, K1 Williams. Love you, brother. I support you.
He's great.
Love you coming off the bench, but Jason Verrett, Akilo Witherspoon, and Richard Sherman is our best. I was
going to bring this up too. Let's not forget about how much teams go 4 wide receiver sets now. So to be honest, it's almost like it's third down to passing down. They're probably going to be 4 wide receivers unless you have a dominant tight end, and then you can't take that guy off. But a lot of the times, not everybody has a freaking George Kittle. Travis Kelce is Zach Ertz, guys that you have to leave on the field.
Yeah.
So essentially what I'm trying to say is Kawhi Williams is still going to get his reps too. And, everybody's going to be fresh. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe they'll do a little of, we brought this up with Samson on the Fan Interaction show. Yeah. Maybe there's a little form of like load management a little bit with like Jason Verrett. Maybe as far as the reps go, that's what I'm saying as far as load management goes. So literally nothing is off the table. Maybe they allow him the first month of the season to literally be 110% because maybe they don't want to overly push him. Once again, maybe Ahkello Witherspoon is balling. He finished the year really great before he injured his knee again last season. So there's different few scenarios that could play out. Once again, I love going to it. Put a gun in my head. Who's the week 1 starter? I'm going to go Brett.
Brett. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one because I don't want to buy a beer at Levi's and go Ahkello Witherspoon. I'll allow both of us to put the asterisk if healthy. We have to put the asterisk if healthy. I guess we'll get into this last one and then we'll save a couple other ones for next week and everything because we're getting pretty close here. But
safeties maybe a little.
Safety. We went ahead to go ahead and we'll bring up D tackle next week. But Jimmy Ward, AC.
Let's go ahead and throw Tarvarius Moore into the mix. I know he's the new flavor of the month. He's the new flavor of the month. Everybody loves him, a shiny new toy. He's fast. Hey, Adrian Colbert is a 4.4 guy too. Moore might beat him by a lick. I know he ran like a 4.33, 4.35 at his pro day, but as we all know, that's not like the NFL Combine where it's more precise. But what I'm trying to say is, give or take, they're both pretty damn fast and almost on the same level. But he's a new flavor of the month, and I definitely am giving an opportunity. My point keeps being with improved front seven, re-signing Jimmy Ward. I think this is the year, in my own personal opinion, that you kind of split the reps. Like, I don't know how exactly going to split them. What I was trying to say is, I think, in my opinion, don't get me mad at me, y'all, that Adrian Colbert and Jimmy Ward are going to dominate the number 1 and number 2 reps. In my opinion, Ward might be a little limited as far as tackling goes. As we all know he is, but does that really matter? I guess it matters from like a tackling standpoint, so he's more week 1 ready. But what really matters from that position is covering, right? In my own opinion. So
we don't want Jimmy Ward making a bunch of tackles.
I think you just have to see what you have in those two. I don't know how many reps. Like I said, we'll all have to wait until training camp because I would not be surprised one bit if maybe they split Moore's reps to 50-50. Maybe it's half cornerback, maybe it's half free safety. I'm not quite 100% sure. It's just how I feel about it. And then if you put a gun in my head, I used to go with Ward. People make fun of me for that. Whatever glass, it doesn't matter. We're kind of essentially talking the week 1 starter versus the Bucs right now.
Yeah.
He was on Ward, but I think the injury is going to set him back just enough where Adrian Colbert is going to allow himself the best opportunity to win the job. And that's where I'm going. And, another year seasoning for Moore is not a bad thing.
No. Look, Trevor is more going to
have to find a way for him to like start, and maybe part of that
going to be on the roster.
People want to kind of see him get the opportunity.
He might be, but sometimes be careful what you wish for. But I guess gun to my head, and we'll wrap it up here. After this, gun to my head, I'll go Jimmy Ward.
Do you think though? Moore is going to get more reps at training camp compared to either Adrian Colbert or Jimmy Ward.
Yeah, I think what they really, really want is, I think the goal out of this is Robert Saleh's not being committed to him, being full-time safety. He'll say,
right.
We'll cross that bridge when we get out of. I think what you'll see is they'll have – obviously they're not going to have Jimmy Ward coming back from a broken collarbone going right in there, and all that. So I honestly think that you're going to see AC and Tarvarius Moore get the go ahead and get the
who's not being talked about at free safety, the majority of the reps? Right.
DJ Reed.
Right. DJ Reed, he hasn't been talked about as much. I don't know if they just saw enough of him at free safety and they're like, you know what, let him full blown concentrate at cornerback.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Maybe the 49ers just honestly maybe they're. I mean, and I kind of love that. Maybe they're purposely, obviously, not putting out too much information and overly hyping shit up and yada yada. Like, they're being a little more under the radar about things, and I like that. I like that a lot.
I do too. And let's not get this twisted. They seem pretty obsessed with versatility. They want players who can be versatile.
And how come sometimes take that as a knock? I think, like I said, they've been scarred by a couple times. Like the only guy that comes to mind is Tank Carradine when Trent Baalke, when he was recovering from his torn ACL. But people forget that Ray McDonald actually had a torn ACL when he came out, and he put on weight to be a 3-4 defensive end, and it worked out like a charm. Because let's be honest, Tank Carradine's skill set was not like a dominant edge and with super bend or any of that. So what I'm trying to say is I'm actually going to low-key back Baalke, little tongue twister right there.
Yeah.
The vision he had for Tank Carradine. And as we all saw, he played the big end, left end position, which is essentially like playing a 34 defensive end. You're responsible for 2 gaps. So really, like, it's not like Baalke wasn't out of line and he did something drastically crazy. So I don't understand sometimes what people like being crossed in another position. You're going to have to learn the scheme anyway. You're going to have to learn what the free safety does, what the free safety has to do if you're playing cornerback. And, you know what I mean? And it's going to have to be versa. So I don't understand sometimes it's being looked at as a negative when people are being cross-trained.
Look, it's not like they have a cornerbacks meeting room and a safety meeting room. They have a defensive back meeting room. They all learn the same shit.
You have to know what everybody else is doing.
We run a defensive man underneath, in the cover 3. In our cover 3, cover 2 is a little different, and we're actually going to try to get my boy Johnny Football on to kind of go into more scheme type of oriented show. We'll try to get him on the fan interaction show or something. But we're good. Basically, it's. I think as far as the 11-on-11 live tackling, whatever in training camp is going to be Travarius Moore and AC that are getting those reps until Jimmy's slowly worked in. So I guess we're going to go ahead and we'll wrap it up for this week. But before we get out of here, I want to remind everyone to shop Niner Faithful Radio shop for officially licensed gear from Shop 49ers, NFL Shop, Fanatics, Target, eBay, and Amazon, and more. Go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com/shop. We also have, our Niner Faithful Radio merchandise. Join our Patreon's reward program for as little as $1 a month. You can get special perks like 10% off Niner Faithful Radio shop, monthly giveaways, and invite to join Adam and I on a segment of the show, and much, much more. Go ahead and visit patreon.com/Niner Faithful Radio. This one is the big one. Go to SeatGiant.com. Use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio, all one word, and you will save on all your ticket purchases. We have an additional 3% off savings, so you save a total of 6% off if you go within the next 2 weeks, I believe it is, we have left. So within the next 2 weeks, if you go, you'll save an additional 3% off your ticket purchases from SeatGiant.com. That's concert, theater, so you can go see, I don't know what the kids want to see one day. You can go see Justin Bieber, catch a Niner game, whatever you want to do. Niner Faithful Radio is now on YouTube. We are trying to monetize our channel. So to help with that, we decided to have a contest where one lucky subscriber will not only win a game to a game this year or whenever we reach this, but also get a ticket to the Niner Museum at Levi Stadium and an invite to join at least me, possibly Adam, at a tailgate at Empire Row, the official tailgate of Niner Faithful Radio. Empire Row, we win Kings of the Tailgate every year. We literally have professional chefs that are part of our chapter that literally come and cook our food. So, we literally have people who are professional chefs tailgating at this we do it major. Ian Williams stops by every now and then with the NBC Bay Area crew, so you can, and Ian's a cool dude, bro. Of course, as our longtime subscribers know, we've had him on the show. Big shout out. Thank you, Ian, again. But yeah, he'll come out so, have a chance to meet him. We had, for us Giants fans, we had Andre Torres randomly showed up one day. So we were just chilling and there's Andre Torres taking pictures with people. So it's always a good time at Empire Row. Oh, wow, this is the old one. I'm on my other phone today. If you want your questions answered by Adam and I, go ahead and join us for our fan interaction show every Wednesday at 5 p.m. here on the West Coast. That's where we go ahead and we invite people on to join us on the show for free. Pay the Niner Faithful Radio, you got to pay, but fan interaction show, we don't care. Matter of fact, big shout out to Samson. I went ahead and saw you watching today. Thank you again, brother, for coming on last week. But Samson came on last week. We had a nice little debate. It was awesome. And so we'll go back and we'll go ahead and take your – that's where we can't necessarily get into all the comments sometimes, but we don't want to think that – we don't want y'all to think we're ignoring you. We really appreciate the interaction in the comments. I do read them. So we will that's where we specifically read the comments and we specifically answer your questions. That's the purpose of that show. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram's at Niner Faithful Radio, Twitter at Niner Faithful R, Facebook is Niner Faithful Radio. And if you're listening as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Blueberry, or TuneIn, please subscribe and give us a review. It really, really helps the show out. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and hit that bell button to make sure you don't miss a video. Give us a thumbs up if you think the video deserves it, and go ahead and leave us a comment on what you thought about the show. We really greatly appreciate it. Any constructive criticism is always welcomed. Make sure to follow Adam at 49ers Insiders. Anything else you want to add, Adam?
Man, I just got to say, I can't help but think when you brought up the tailgate next season, how sweet it would be for our opener against the Steelers if we're 2-0, and how huge that game could possibly
be. And there's something, I'll put it to you this way.
That's my Rams brother. I said Bucks and Bengals. Who's winning against 49ers? And he ended up actually picking us both games. And then he, like I just brought up, he agreed Steelers could be possible. My goal, even though it's early, but man, going in there too. At first I told myself that game might be a little too hyped up. It might be a little overpriced. Not trying to sound cheap over here or whatnot, but I was like, there's going to be it's going to be probably a shit show. Let's be honest about that, right? Home opener is going to be a shit show. Maybe I'll go crazy. But if we're 2-0 going into there, and I think it's a good chance we might be, I might have to go. I might have to go.
If not that one, you know what? So a little insider information for those who listen to Niner Faithful Radio. Every year at Empire Road, we do our rib cook-off. And so everybody that cooks at the tailgate does a rib cook-off, and I'm telling you personally, we did it last year, Monday night against the Giants. Every rib is primo. Like if you're really into ribs and rubs and you're really a meat person, so a little insider information, me and one of the chapter brothers, two of the chapter brothers that both happen to be the cooks, two of the cooks, were trying to do it for the Monday night against the Seahawks. Because I think that's going to be that.
You're about to bring up the Browns.
No. Monday night against the Seahawks. Okay. We're kind of we're going to discuss it. It's way far away, so we're probably not going to even get into that type of discussion.
November 11th. I mean, like 4 months away. I mean,
yeah, but that's kind of what we're trying to push for. So if you're choosing to come to a game and it happened just not the home opener, that's the one I would personally go to, and. The one I think that you should come to, because obviously, of course, my co-host is invited to the tailgate, obviously. Pretty much any Niner fan is invited. But the rib cook-off is the one that if it's not the home opener, the rib cook-off is the one that you want to and it's gonna be towards the later of the season. It will be towards the end of the. So if we'll know a lot more about how the season's going towards when the rib cook-off is going and whether we're going to watch Nick Mullins or we're going to be watching Jimmy G. Cool. So, don't speak into the universe, but I'll put it to you this way, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Obviously, Jimmy G. Cool is the truth. He's the one that's going to take us to the promised land. But with BDN, I don't feel as hopeless as I did coming in to do the show week 3. I'm going to say, of course, I'm going to be depressed. And, is Jimmy G. Cool really the one and all that? But I'm not going to be as depressed knowing that Nick Mullins is a capable quarterback. I think that we have enough of a roster that with Nick Mullins as quarterback, we have enough of a roster that we can get some Super Bowl? No, but we can get some wins. We can get some wins under our belt with Nick Mullins as our quarterback.
Hey, nobody thought we had a chance at the Super Bowl in 2011. I'll just say that. And
hey, there you go,
right there. I mean, that's why we tune in and watch the games, and that's why they actually go on the field to play the games.
And the way I look at it is you play the games because maybe some third-round quarterback, a skinny-legged, kicker-looking quarterback may just end up being the greatest.
And then you know what they say, once you're on the field, you play to win the game.
Okay.
So
you play to win the game.
And then you want to bring up Jim Mora playoffs. Yes, we're not faithful. Even the fucking pessimistic ones. Sorry for the F-bomb. I'm talking possibly playoffs.
Yes.
Be positive and watch the damn games and stop being so damn pessimistic about everything.
There you go. And you know what?
Third time's the charm. That's all I got to say.
Out of all coaches that I would love to see coach the Niners, Tony Dungy is numero uno on my list of coaches that I really wish would have coached the Niners. Oh, yeah, Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy. I love me some Tony Dungy. Because that's a discussion. Maybe we'll do that on the fan interaction show this week. Niner coaches you wish would have coached the Niners. Who knows? It's freaking 3 weeks until training camp, bro. We're just trying to kill time here, y'all.
Yeah, I remember at one point I was pretty warmed up to Josh McDaniels and Jimmy Garoppolo. Apparently, I said land Josh McDaniels, trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. He already knows the scheme and all that shit. But I gladly take hand over him. And hey, shout out to Josh McDaniels. Hopefully he gets another opportunity to coach. I think he's, as you can tell, I think he's waiting for the right opportunity too.
I do too.
He was supposed to take the Colts job and he backed out of them last second. I was like, whoa, that means Andrew Luck's not going to be the same.
Yeah,
it all worked out for them too. Frank Wright, he did a great job. Called some great plays, and I think everybody's happy.
Everything happens for a reason, brother.
I think everyone's happy.
Yep. All right. Well, for super duper moderator Kim, from Adam, and for myself, we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in this week's episode. We shall see y'all next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners.
Peace.